The Grand Assembly Hall floated in the darkness of space like a massive crystal sphere. Inside, representatives from 300 alien species gathered for the monthly council session. The hall buzzed with 1,000 different sounds as translators worked to convert languages into something everyone could understand. Ambassador Velkthar of the Zephion Collective stood at the central podium. His forearms gestured dramatically as he spoke. His skin shifted colors with his emotions, currently displaying angry red patterns across his tall frame. Honored council members, Velkthar's voice boomed through the chamber. I come before you today with a serious matter. The human species must be banned from all council-protected space. A ripple of confusion spread through the hall. Several delegates leaned toward each other, whispering. Some looked amused. The humans? Called out Representative Croth of the Chromath Empire. His massive bulk shook as he laughed. Those tiny pink creatures? The ones who barely learned to travel between stars 200 years ago? More laughter echoed through the chamber. Velkthar's skin turned darker red. Mock me if you wish, Velkthar continued, but I have evidence. In just 2 centuries, humans have been involved in 47 separate incidents across council space. They are unpredictable. They are dangerous. They threaten galactic stability. Dangerous. Another voice called out. They have no natural weapons. No claws, no venom, no armored skin. They live barely 100 years. How could they possibly be dangerous? More laughter. Someone in the back made a joke about humans being barely evolved primates who stumbled into the stars. The chamber erupted in amusement. In the human section of the gallery, Ambassador Elena Vasquez sat perfectly still. Her dark eyes watched the proceedings without expression. Her hands rested calmly on the armrests of her chair. She did not smile. She did not frown. She simply waited. Velkthar's 4 hands slammed down on the podium. The sound echoed through the hall, cutting through the laughter. You laugh, he said, his voice tight with frustration. You dismiss my concerns. But I have spent 5 years studying these creatures. I have compiled evidence. Video recordings, incident reports, first-hand testimonies. You need to see what I have seen. Chairman Vexilor of the council raised one crystalline hand. The ancient being's voice resonated like wind chimes. Very well, Ambassador Velkthar. If you have evidence, present it. Though I suspect we will find your concerns overblown. More chuckling from the assembled delegates. Velkthar's skin patterns shifted to show determination. He activated the holographic display system. I will show you, he said quietly. Then you can decide if you still want to laugh. The lights in the chamber dimmed. A massive holographic display materialized in the center of the hall, visible from every seat. The council members settled into their seats, expecting to be entertained by whatever minor incidents Velkthar had found. The first video began to play. The hologram showed a human cargo vessel drifting through an asteroid field. The ship looked old and worn, its hull patched in several places. The name painted on the side read Perseverance. This is a standard human cargo ship, Velkthar narrated. Crew of 28, carrying farming equipment to a colony world. According to galactic law, cargo vessels are not permitted to carry military weapons. 3 sleek ships appeared on the display, surrounding the cargo vessel. The council members recognized them immediately as Krindle pirate vessels. The Krindle were known for intercepting cargo ships and demanding tribute. Most species simply paid and continued on their way. It was cheaper than fighting. The audio played through the translation system. A rough Krindle voice demanded the human ship power down its engines and prepare to be boarded. Several council members nodded. Standard pirate procedure. The humans would comply, pay some fee, and everyone would go their separate ways. But the response from the human captain made several delegates sit up straighter. This is Captain Maria, Chen of the Perseverance, a woman's voice came through clearly. Negative on powering down. You want our cargo? Come and take it. Confused murmurs spread through the chamber. Why would a cargo captain refuse? The ship was unarmed and outnumbered. The pirate leader seemed equally confused. Captain Chen, you are outnumbered 3-1. Your vessel carries no weapons. Do not be foolish. You're right, Chen's voice responded. We don't carry weapons. We carry tools. What happened next made the laughter in the council chamber die completely. The cargo ship's mining lasers meant for cutting asteroids suddenly activated. Beams of concentrated energy lanced out at the pirate ships. The cargo manipulator arms, designed to move heavy containers, grabbed one pirate vessel and crushed its engine section. The ship vented fuel from its storage tanks and ignited it, creating a massive flamethrower effect that forced the second pirate ship to veer away. The pirates had expected an easy target. Instead, they found themselves fighting a ship that had turned every tool into a weapon. Within minutes, 2 pirate vessels were disabled and drifting. The third retreated at maximum speed. "All crew," Captain Chen's voice came through again. "Damage report." "Any injuries?" "Engineering took some fire, Captain," another voice responded. 2 injured, nothing serious. Hull breach in Cargo Bay 3 sealed. "Good. Resume course. And someone tell the new guy this is why we practice emergency drills twice a week." The video ended. The council chamber was silent. Velkthar let the silence stretch before speaking. That was incident number 12. A routine pirate encounter that should have resulted in a simple tribute payment. Instead, humans turned a cargo ship into a warship using nothing but standard equipment. He activated the next video. This one showed a human colony world. The planet looked peaceful, with farms and small towns visible from orbit. The date stamp showed this was from 3 years ago. "This is New Terra," Velkthar explained. "A farming colony. Population 40,000. No military presence, no defensive systems. 6 Vexian ships appeared in orbit. The Vexians were slavers, banned from council space but still operating in the outer regions. They descended toward the planet. What the hologram showed next made several council members lean forward in their seats. The farmers on New Terra did not run. They did not hide. They organized. The video showed humans converting tractors into mobile weapons platforms. They used agricultural chemicals to create explosives. They turned irrigation pipes into makeshift cannons. They set traps using farming equipment. When the Vexian raiders landed, expecting to capture workers for their slave markets, they instead found themselves fighting an army of farmers who refused to surrender. The humans used their knowledge of the land, their farming tools, and sheer determination to drive off raiders who had successfully captured populations from a dozen other worlds. The Vexian commander's final transmission played through the speakers. "Abort the operation. These humans are insane. Every one of them fights like a cornered predator. We've lost too many to capture even one." The video showed the Vexian ships fleeing orbit, leaving behind their dead and wounded. On the ground, humans were already treating their own casualties and repairing their homes. Velkthar paused the display. He looked around the chamber. No one was laughing anymore. "That was incident number 27, he said softly. "Farmers. Not soldiers, farmers. They had no training. No weapons. They should have been easy prey." Ambassador Vasquez still sat motionless in the human gallery. Her expression remained neutral, but her eyes never left the display. Velkthar activated another video. "There are 45 more incidents to review. Each one demonstrates the same pattern. Shall I continue?" Chairman Vexler's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly. "Continue, Ambassador. It appears we have much to learn about our human colleagues." The third video began to play. The third video showed a hospital on a frontier world. The building looked temporary, made from prefabricated materials that could be set up quickly. Red cross symbols marked it clearly as a medical facility. "This is the planet Refuge 7, Velkthar explained, "a world suffering from the Crimson Plague. The disease killed millions before spreading across 3 systems. The Council sent aid, but most species refused to risk their medical personnel." The hologram showed human doctors and nurses moving between beds filled with aliens of various species. The humans wore protective suits, but they were old models. Clearly not the best available technology. 30 human medical workers volunteered. Velkthar continued. They knew the risks. The plague had a 30% mortality rate even with treatment. These humans had minimal protection and were working with limited supplies. The video timestamp jumped forward several days. Armed figures appeared at the hospital perimeter. Local warlords, their weapons clearly visible as they surrounded the building. The audio picked up their demands. They wanted the medical supplies. The medicines could be sold for enormous profits on the black market. They ordered the humans to leave or be killed. Dr. Sarah Martinez appeared on screen, standing at the hospital entrance. She was a small woman, barely reaching the shoulders of the warlord leader. She held no weapon. Behind her, sick patients lay in their beds, too weak to move. "We're not leaving," Dr. Martinez said simply. The warlord leader laughed. "You have no weapons, no soldiers. You will leave or you will die." "We're not leaving our patients," Martinez repeated. Her voice was calm, stating a fact rather than making a threat. "Then you die," the warlord said. What happened next made several council members gasp. The human medical workers formed a line between the warlords and their patients. 30 humans, unarmed, standing against 50 armed fighters. They did not run. They did not negotiate. They simply stood their ground. "Last warning," the warlord leader said. "Move or we shoot through you." Dr. Martinez looked directly at him. "Then shoot." The warlord fired. Martinez fell. But the line of humans did not break. The human standing next to her took one step forward to fill the gap. Another human rushed to pull Martinez to safety while the others held position. The warlords fired again. More humans fell. Still the line held. Then something changed in the humans who remained standing. Their faces shifted from calm determination to something else. Something that made the warlords step backward. A male nurse, his arm bleeding from a grazing shot, picked up a surgical tray and threw it like a weapon. Another doctor grabbed a metal support stand and charged. A young medical intern, barely old enough to have finished training, used an oxygen tank as a battering ram. They had no training as fighters. Their weapons were medical tools, but they fought with a fury that shocked everyone watching. They were not just defending themselves anymore, they were attacking. Several warlords went down, injured by humans using scalpels, heavy equipment, and their own hands. The rest fled, abandoning their dead and wounded. The video showed human medical workers immediately turning their attention to treating the injured, both their own people and the wounded warlords who had attacked them. 6 humans had died. 8 more were seriously injured, but every patient in the hospital survived. The council chamber was completely silent. Velkthar let the silence continue for a long moment. Incident number 33. Medical personnel, not soldiers. They had taken oaths to heal, not to harm, but when forced to choose between abandoning the helpless or dying, they chose to fight. He changed the video again. This one showed a mountainous region on an unexplored planet. The terrain was rough, filled with canyons and rock formations. A small group of humans moved carefully through the rocks carrying scientific equipment. Their clothing marked them as researchers, not military. The Battle of Kepler 442b, Velkthar announced. The way he said battle made it clear this was something significant. A human exploration team of 12 scientists. They were conducting geological surveys when they encountered a Hive Mother scout force. The view shifted to show the approaching Hive soldiers. 200 armored warriors, each standing over 2 meters tall, their chitinous bodies bristling with natural weapons. The Hive Mother Collective had conquered 40 star systems. Their soldiers were bred specifically for war. Several council members shifted uncomfortably. Everyone knew the Hive's reputation. 12 humans against 200 Hive soldiers should have been a massacre. The lead scientist, a man named Dr. James Park, raised his hand to stop his team. Through his communication device, they heard him thinking out loud. "Canyon walls are unstable here," Park said, looking around. "Seismic charges we brought for the core samples. Sarah, you still have those portable shelter units?" "Yes, but they're not much protection against Hive weapons," another scientist responded. "Not for protection," Park said. "For decoys. Listen, everyone. We can't outrun them. We can't fight them head-on. But we can think." What followed demonstrated something the Council had never seen before. Humans fighting not with superior strength or weapons, but with pure tactical creativity. The scientists used their seismic charges to collapse parts of the canyon, channeling the Hive soldiers into kill zones. They set up shelter units that looked like hiding places, then rigged them with explosives. They used reflective equipment to create false heat signatures, making the Hive think there were humans in locations where there were none. Dr. Park himself acted as bait, running through the open to draw Hive soldiers into prepared ambush points where the other scientists dropped rocks, triggered small avalanches, or attacked from unexpected angles. The humans used everything they had. Survey equipment became weapons, Climbing gear became traps. Scientific knowledge became tactical advantage. The battle lasted for 4 hours. At the end, 11 humans were still alive. 198 Hive soldiers were dead. 2 had survived, badly injured. The final transmission from the Hive Force commander played through the chamber. Command, we need immediate evacuation. The humans, they don't fight to win territory. They don't fight for resources. They fight like cornered animals with nothing to lose. Every one of them was willing to die to kill us. We cannot defeat enemies who accept death as an acceptable outcome. The video ended. Velkthar stood silently at the podium, letting his evidence speak for itself. Incident number 40, he said quietly. 12 scientists against 200 elite soldiers. The scientists won. He pulled up a new display. This one showed dozens of shorter clips, arranged in a grid pattern on the hologram. This is a compilation, Velkthar explained. 30 different encounters over the past 2 centuries. Humans in various situations facing various opponents. Watch the pattern. Each clip showed a similar scene. Different humans, different locations, different enemies. But in each one, the human was being offered a chance to surrender. The hologram played the responses. No. Make me. Come and try. Over my dead body. Not today. I don't think so. You'll have to kill me first. Clip after clip. Different voices. Different situations. But not one human accepted surrender. Several council members looked at each other with visible concern. Every species in this galaxy has surrender protocols, Velkthar said. Rules for when to retreat, when to negotiate, when to accept defeat. It is logical. It preserves life. It allows for future opportunities. He gestured at the compilation. Humans do not seem to have this protocol, or if they do, they choose to ignore it. Ambassador Vasquez still had not moved from her seat. Her face remained expressionless as she watched her people's actions displayed for the entire galaxy to judge. Velkthar pulled up one final video for this section. And yet, he said, his voice softening slightly, they are not mindless killers. This is perhaps the most troubling part. The new video showed a colony ship. The designation identified it as belonging to the Thraxi species, insectoid beings known for their peaceful nature. The ship was clearly in distress, venting atmosphere and listing in space. A human vessel appeared, changing course to intercept. The name on the hull read, Indomitable Spirit. The human captain's voice came through clearly. Thraxi vessel, this is Captain Rodriguez of the Indomitable Spirit. We're reading critical life support failure. We're coming to assist. The Thraxi ship's response came through weak and crackling. Human vessel, we appreciate the offer, but you should continue your mission. Our life support has failed completely. We have perhaps 2 hours of oxygen remaining for 3,000 souls. By the time you dock and begin evacuation, most of us will be dead. Save yourselves the delay. Captain Rodriguez's reply was immediate. Negative, Thraxi ship. We're already deploying docking tubes. Prepare to receive oxygen transfer. Captain Rodriguez, the Thraxi captain said, confusion clear in his translated voice. Your vessel carries barely enough oxygen reserve for your own crew of 120. You cannot spare enough to make a difference for us. Watch us, Rodriguez said simply. The hologram showed the human ship connecting multiple emergency tubes to the Thraxi vessel. Human crew members moved through their ship, disconnecting oxygen reserves from non-essential areas. They transferred their emergency supplies, their backup reserves, everything they could spare. Captain, a human crew member's voice came through the internal communications. We're down to 40% reserves. Engineering recommends we stop the transfer to maintain our own safety margins. Keep transferring, Rodriguez ordered. Reduce oxygen flow to non-essential areas. Crew will move to essential sections only. Sir, we'll be operating below safety minimums. I'm aware, Lieutenant. Continue the transfer. The video showed hours of work. Human crew members moved slowly, conserving oxygen. Some began showing signs of oxygen deprivation, but they continued working, continued transferring their life support to the dying Thraxi ship. When the transfer was complete, the Thraxi vessel had enough oxygen to reach the nearest station. The human ship had barely enough to sustain basic life support. "Thraxi vessel, you're good to go," Rodriguez said, his voice slightly breathless from low oxygen. "Safe travels, Captain Rodriguez," the Thraxi captain said, his voice thick with emotion. "You have given us your life support. You may not have enough to reach safety yourselves." Rodriguez laughed, though it sounded strained. "We'll hold our breath if we have to. Just get your people to safety." Rodriguez out. The video showed the two ships separating. The Thraxi vessel headed toward the nearest station at maximum speed. The human ship limped along at reduced speed, conserving power to extend their oxygen supply. The final notation on the video made several council members gasp. 4 human crew members died from oxygen deprivation during the journey to the next port. They had voluntarily worked in areas with critically low oxygen to ensure other crew members and the Thraxi survivors had enough to breathe. In the council gallery, the Thraxi delegate was openly weeping. Her insectoid features glistened with moisture as she watched the video. Those 3,000 souls saved included her entire family. Velkthar's skin pattern shifted to show something like confusion. "This is what troubles me most about humans. They will refuse to surrender to enemies even when defeat is certain, but they will surrender their own survival to save strangers. There is no logic to it. No pattern I can predict." He changed the video again. This time the hologram showed an old recording, its quality degraded by time. The date stamp indicated this was from 2 centuries ago. "This is classified material," Velkthar said, his voice dropping lower. "Information that has been sealed by council order for 200 years. But I obtained special permission to show it today, because the council needs to understand the truth about human first contact." Confused murmurs spread through the chamber. Everyone knew the story of human first contact. It had been a peaceful meeting with council explorers 150 years ago. Humans had been welcomed, given access to basic technology, and slowly integrated into galactic society. "That story is a lie," Velkthar said bluntly. "Or rather, it is incomplete." The hologram showed a human colony world. The planet looked young, barely terraformed. Small settlements dotted the surface. The date stamp showed this was from 200 years ago, 50 years before the official first contact. "The Catharan Empire discovered this world," Velkthar explained. "The Catharan were a powerful species, protected by the Council. They wanted the planet for its mineral resources. The humans who lived there were an inconvenience." Several council members shifted uncomfortably. The Catharan Empire had collapsed 180 years ago, supposedly due to internal conflicts. But everyone remembered them as arrogant and expansionist. The video showed Catharan warships entering orbit. Their transmission to the human colony was simple: evacuate within 24 hours or be removed by force. The human governor's response played through the speakers. "This is our home. We're not leaving," the Catharan commander laughed. "You have no weapons capable of threatening our ships. You have no military. You are primitives who barely understand space travel. Leave or die." "Then I guess we die," the human governor said. The Catharan attacked. Their weapons were advanced, powerful. The human colony had basic defensive shields and outdated weapons. It should have been a quick extermination, but it wasn't. The humans fought with everything they had. When their shields failed, they used their ships as rams. When their weapons broke, they boarded Catharan vessels with nothing but tools and determination. When their settlements burned, they retreated underground and continued fighting. The Catharan had expected a quick victory. Instead, they found themselves in a grinding battle that lasted for weeks. Every meter of ground cost them losses. Every building had to be taken by force. The humans refused every offer to negotiate, every chance to surrender. The video showed the final days of the battle. The human colony was destroyed. Most of the population was dead. But they had cost the Catharan dearly. Dozens of ships damaged, thousands of soldiers killed. The last human survivor was a woman named Sarah Williams. The recording showed her, badly wounded, standing in the ruins of the colony's command center. She was surrounded by Catharan soldiers, including most of their command staff who had come down to accept the final surrender. "You fought well for primitives," the Catharan commander said. "Surrender now. You have lost." Sarah Williams looked at him. Blood covered her face from a head wound. One arm hung uselessly at her side, but she smiled. "You should have left us alone," she said. Then she detonated the nuclear device she had been holding behind her back. The video went white. When it cleared, It showed the crater where the command center had been. Sarah Williams was dead. So was the entire Catharan command structure, including their supreme commander, his staff, and their most senior officers. The hologram switched to show Catharan news reports from the following months. Without their leadership, the empire collapsed into civil war. Different factions fought for control. Their expansion stopped. Their power waned. Within a year, they approached the council begging for mediation. When they made official first contact with humanity 50 years later, the Catharan never mentioned the colony. They pretended it had never happened. The council, wanting to avoid complications, agreed to keep the incident classified. The council chamber was absolutely silent. Several delegates looked horrified. Others looked thoughtful. The Thoraxi delegate had stopped crying and now watched with wide eyes. Ambassador Vasquez stood up slowly from her seat. This was the first movement she had made during the entire presentation. Every eye in the chamber turned to her. "May I speak, Chairman?" Vasquez asked quietly. Chairman Vexilor's crystalline form seemed to pulse with light. "Please, Ambassador Vasquez. I believe we would all benefit from the human perspective." Vasquez walked down to the main floor. She moved with calm precision, her steps echoing in the silent chamber. She stopped next to Velkthar at the podium. "Ambassador Velkthar is correct," Vasquez said. Her voice was clear and steady. "Everything he showed you is true. Humans are unpredictable. We refuse to surrender even when logic demands it. We will die for strangers. We will fight to the last breath against impossible odds." She paused, looking around the chamber. "Ambassador Velkthar wants you to ban us because we are dangerous. I will not argue against that. We are dangerous." Several delegates nodded, seeming to agree. "But I want to explain why," Vasquez continued. "Not to excuse it, just to help you understand." She gestured to the hologram. "Every species in this chamber evolved under similar conditions. You had predators. You learned to fear them. You learned to run when running made sense. You learned to submit when submission saved lives. This is logical. This is wise. This is how intelligent species survive." Vasquez's expression became more intense. "Humans evolved differently. We were both predator and prey. We hunted, but we were also hunted. We learned to fear, yes, but we also learned that sometimes fear must be ignored. Sometimes running means dying slowly instead of quickly. Sometimes the only choice is to stand and fight." She activated the hologram again, pulling up images of Earth's ancient history. Primitive humans fighting creatures larger and stronger than themselves. "Our ancestors fought cave bears with sharpened sticks," Vasquez said. "They hunted mammoths that could crush them with one step. They survived ice ages, droughts, plagues. They survived not because they were strong, but because they refused to accept extinction." The images shifted to show human history. Wars, disasters, struggles. We carried that refusal forward through all our history. When we should have given up, we didn't. When logic said we should surrender, we fought. When we should have died, we survived. Vasquez pulled up the video of Sarah Williams again. The moment before the explosion, the smile on the dying woman's face. "You want to know what makes humans dangerous?" Vasquez asked. Her voice remained calm, but something in it made the council members lean forward. "It's not our strength. We're weak compared to most of you. It's not our technology. We're primitives compared to half this chamber. It's not our numbers. We have 40 worlds. The Chromath Empire has 4,000. She pointed to the frozen image of Sarah Williams. "What makes us dangerous is that we don't know when to quit. We don't have that switch in our brains that says this is hopeless, surrender now. Maybe we should have that switch. Maybe it would save lives, but we don't have it." Vasquez turned to face the council directly. Sarah Williams was a teacher before the Catharan came. She taught elementary school children their basic mathematics. She had a husband and 2 kids. When the Catharan attacked, her family died in the first bombardment. She had no military training, no combat experience. She should have run or surrendered. The ambassador's voice grew quieter, forcing everyone to listen more carefully. Instead, she picked up a gun she barely knew how to use. She fought for 3 weeks. She watched everyone around her die. And when she was the last one standing, when any sane being would have surrendered, she decided that if she had to die, she would take as many of the enemy with her as possible. Vasquez let that sink in for a moment. That's what scares Ambassador Velkthar. Not that we're strong or advanced or numerous, but that when you back a human into a corner, they become unpredictable, dangerous, willing to do anything. She changed the hologram to show the cargo ship Perseverance again. Captain Chen turned mining lasers into weapons because she refused to let pirates take what her colonists needed to survive. The farmers on New Terra fought slave raiders with tractors because they would rather die free than live in chains. Dr. Martinez stood in front of bullets because she wouldn't abandon patients who trusted her. The images cycled through each incident Velkthar had shown. Every one of these situations a logical being would have found a safer solution. Negotiate, surrender, retreat, wait for help. But humans don't think that way when survival is on the line. We fight. Representative Croth of the Chromath Empire, who had laughed at the beginning, now spoke. His voice was subdued. But you also saved the Thraxi. You gave them your own life support. How does that fit your pattern? Vasquez nodded. That's the part that probably confuses Ambassador Velkthar the most. And I'll be honest, it confuses us sometimes too. She pulled up the video of the indomitable spirit. Humans will refuse to surrender to save themselves, but we will surrender everything to save others. Captain Rodriguez gave away his ship's oxygen reserves even though it meant his crew might die. Why? Because 3,000 Thraxi needed help and he had the ability to help them. Vasquez's expression softened slightly. 4 of his crew died. They knew the risks. They volunteered to work in low oxygen areas so others could survive. That's human nature too. We're stubborn about dying, but we're also stubborn about saving lives. She looked at the Thraxi delegate who was still watching with tears on her face. I'm glad your family survived, Representative. Those 4 humans died so your people could live. That's not logical. That's not strategic. That's just human. Velkthar's skin pattern shifted to show confusion. But how can you be both? How can you refuse to surrender to enemies but surrender everything to strangers? There is no consistency. You're right, Vasquez admitted. There's no consistency. That's the problem with having emotions guide your decisions instead of pure logic. Humans feel things. When we see someone suffering, we feel compelled to help. When we see someone threatening us or others, we feel compelled to fight. Our emotions are strong and sometimes they override logic completely. She walked back toward the hologram controls. Let me show you something else. Something that might help you understand. Vasquez pulled up videos from Earth showing human history. Firefighters running into burning buildings to save strangers. Soldiers throwing themselves on grenades to protect their friends. Doctors working through plagues. Teachers protecting students. Parents sacrificing everything for children who weren't even their own. This is what humans do, Vasquez explained. We see someone in need and we help. We see someone threatened and we protect them. Even when it costs us everything. Even when it makes no logical sense. We do it because we're human, and being human means caring about others. Then she pulled up other videos. Humans fighting against tyranny, resisting oppression, standing against overwhelming odds because surrender meant accepting evil. And this is also what we do. Vasquez continued. We see injustice and we fight it. We see evil and we resist it, even when resistance seems hopeless. Even when fighting means dying. We do it because surrendering to evil feels worse than death. The 2 sets of videos played side by side. Humans saving and humans fighting. Protecting and resisting. The duality of human nature displayed for the entire council to see. We're not consistent, Vasquez said. We're emotional. We make decisions that seem irrational. But there is a pattern. If you look close enough, humans protect the weak and fight the strong. We help those who need help and resist those who cause harm. It's not logical, but it's predictable once you understand it. She turned back to face the council. Ambassador Velkthar believes we're too dangerous to allow in council space. He might be right. We are dangerous. To pirates and slavers and warlords and anyone else who preys on the weak. We're dangerous to those who think might makes right. That superior power means you can do whatever you want. Vasquez's voice grew stronger. But we're also the species who will give away our last breath to save strangers. Who will stand between the helpless and those who would harm them. Who will fight impossible battles because someone has to fight them. She looked directly at Velkthar. You asked earlier why we refuse to surrender. Why we fight even when logic says we should quit. I'll tell you. It's because humans believe that some things are worth dying for. Freedom is worth dying for. Justice is worth dying for. Protecting the innocent is worth dying for. Vasquez gestured to the entire council. Every species here has things they value. Resources, territory, power, survival. Humans value those things too. But we also value ideas, principles. We'll die for an idea. We'll sacrifice everything for a principle. That probably seems insane to you. Maybe it is insane. But it's who we are. She paused, letting her words echo through the chamber. So yes, ban us if you want. We'll survive. We always do. Humans survived ice ages and plagues and wars and disasters on our own world. We'll survive being banned from council space if we have to. The chamber was completely silent. Every delegate watched Ambassador Vasquez with intense focus. But ask yourselves this, Vasquez said, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper. When the next crisis comes, and it will come, when the next threat appears that endangers the galaxy, when the next enemy arises that everyone else says is too strong to fight, do you want humans on your side or not? She let the question hang in the air. Because we won't surrender. We won't quit. We won't accept defeat. We'll fight with everything we have, and we'll keep fighting long after everyone else has given up. That's what makes us dangerous. That's also what makes us valuable. Vasquez walked slowly back toward her seat. The choice is yours, Council. Ban the species that refuses to surrender, or accept us as allies, with all our unpredictability and emotion and stubborn refusal to quit. She sat down, folding her hands in her lap. Her expression returned to the calm, neutral mask she had worn throughout the entire presentation. The council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Chairman Vexeler's crystalline form pulsed with light as he processed everything he had seen and heard. Then the Thoraxi delegate stood up. Her voice shook with emotion as she spoke. Chairman, I request permission to make a statement. Granted, Vexeler said. The Thoraxi delegate looked around the chamber. My entire family lives because humans gave away their own survival to save strangers. 3,000 of my people breathed today because Captain Rodriguez decided that saving lives was more important than following safety protocols. She gestured to the hologram, which still showed the indomitable spirit. 4 humans died so we could live. They didn't know us. We had no treaty with them. No trade agreements. No political alliance. They helped us because we needed help. That's all. The delegate's voice grew stronger. Ambassador Velkthar shows us videos of humans fighting and calls them dangerous. I see those same videos and see humans protecting the helpless, fighting slavers, defending the sick, standing against bullies. She looked directly at Velkthar. Yes, humans are dangerous, to those who prey on the weak, to those who attack the helpless, to those who believe might makes right. If that makes them too dangerous for council space, then perhaps we need to examine what values this council truly represents. The Thoraxi delegate's words echoed through the silent chamber. Several council members shifted in their seats, looking uncomfortable. Others nodded slowly, seeming to consider her perspective. Then another delegate stood. This one was a Hive Mother representative, her chitinous form gleaming under the chamber lights. The Hive species were known for their cold logic and military precision. Few expected her to speak. I also request permission to make a statement. The Hive Mother delegate, said Chairman Vexeler, gestured for her to continue. My people fought humans at Kepler 442b, the Hive Mother said. Her translated voice was carefully neutral. We sent 200 of our finest soldiers against 12 human scientists. We expected an easy victory. We had superior numbers, superior weapons, superior physical abilities. By all logical calculations, we should have won. She paused, her compound eyes reflecting the chamber lights. We lost. 198 of our soldiers died. 12 scientists armed with survey equipment and determination defeated a force specifically bred for warfare. The Hive Mother delegate looked around the chamber. When our survivors returned, they were traumatized. Not by the violence itself. The Hive understands violence, but by the nature of human combat. They said humans fight as if death is not a deterrent, as if losing is simply not an option they will consider. She gestured to the hologram. We studied the recordings. We analyzed the tactics. And we learned something important. Humans taught us that survival is not just about strength. It's about refusing to accept defeat. It's about finding ways to win even when winning seems impossible. The Hive Mother's voice carried a note of what might have been respect. The Hive has conquered 40 systems. We are feared throughout the galaxy, but we fear humans. Not because they are stronger than us, but because they will never stop fighting. You cannot negotiate with someone who won't surrender. You cannot intimidate someone who accepts death. You cannot defeat an enemy who sees every setback as temporary. She sat down slowly. If the council votes to ban humans, the Hive will not object. But we will remember that the Council chose to push away the one species that might stand with us when the next existential threat arrives. More delegates began to stand. One by one, species that had encountered humans shared their experiences. Some spoke of humans saving them. Others spoke of humans fighting alongside them. A few admitted to having tried to take advantage of humans and regretting it. Representative Croth of the Chromath Empire stood. His massive form seemed somehow smaller than before. I laughed at the beginning of this session. I called humans barely evolved primates. I was wrong. Croth looked at Ambassador Vasquez. I apologize, Ambassador. I judged your species by physical standards. Size, strength, natural weapons. By those measures, humans are weak. But you are not weak. You are perhaps the most dangerous species I have ever encountered, precisely because you do not know when you are beaten. He turned to address the full council. I have ruled the Chromath Empire for 40 cycles. In that time I have seen many species. Strong species. Advanced species. Numerous species. But I have never seen a species like humanity. Croth's voice grew thoughtful. Every other species has limits. Points where they will retreat or surrender. Lines they will not cross. Humans seem to have no such limits. They will sacrifice everything for principles, die for ideas, fight impossible battles because they believe fighting is right. He sat down heavily. I do not know if we should ban them or embrace them. But I know we cannot ignore them. Chairman Vexilor's form pulsed brighter. Ambassador Velkthar, you have heard many perspectives today. Do you wish to respond? Velkthar stood at the podium. His skin patterns showed confusion and resignation. I came here today certain that humans were a threat to galactic stability. After hearing everything, I am still certain of that. They are a threat, an enormous, unpredictable threat. He looked at Ambassador Vasquez, but I am beginning to understand that perhaps we need that threat. Perhaps the galaxy has become too comfortable, too willing to surrender, too quick to accept defeat. Velkthar's skin pattern shifted to show something like acceptance. The Thoraxi delegate is right. I showed videos of humans fighting and saw only danger. But they were fighting slavers, pirates, warlords. They were protecting the weak and resisting evil. When I look at it that way, perhaps the danger is not that humans fight, but that so few other species are willing to fight alongside them. He stepped back from the podium. I withdraw my petition to ban humanity from council space. But I propose something else instead. The chamber buzzed with surprise. Velkthar held up one hand for silence. I propose that humanity be granted full council membership, Velkthar said. Not as observers. Not as junior members. Full membership with all rights and responsibilities. The buzzing grew louder. Several delegates called out in protest. Humanity had only been spacefaring for 200 years. Council membership traditionally required at least 1,000 years of space travel. The rules were clear. Chairman Vexilor called for order. Ambassador Velkthar, you understand that this proposal violates established protocols? Humanity does not meet the minimum requirements for council membership. I understand, Velkthar said. I also understand that rules exist to serve us, not the other way around. If the rules prevent us from bringing valuable allies into full partnership, then perhaps the rules need to change. He looked around the chamber. Every species here knows the galaxy is becoming more dangerous. The Outer Rim incidents are increasing. Unknown signals are being detected beyond explored space. Something is coming. Something that may threaten us all. Velkthar gestured to the hologram, which still showed images of human actions. When that threat arrives, do we want humans operating as independent actors with no obligation to help us? Or do we want them as full council members bound by treaties and alliances? The chamber fell silent as delegates considered his words. More importantly, Velkthar continued, do we want humans learning from us, tempering their aggression with our wisdom? Or do we want them developing alone, becoming even more unpredictable? He sat down. The choice is yours, Council. But I believe humanity should be inside this chamber, where we can work with them rather than outside where we can only fear them. Chairman Vexilor's crystalline form pulsed with thought. This is an unprecedented situation. A proposal to grant early membership to a species based not on longevity, but on character. We must vote on this carefully. The Thoraxi delegate stood again. I formally second Ambassador Velkthar's proposal. Humanity has earned the right to full membership through actions, not time. Several other delegates stood, adding their support. The debate continued for hours. Arguments for and against. Concerns about precedent. Discussions of human nature. Questions about the future. Finally, Chairman Vexilor called for order. We will now vote on Ambassador Velkthar's proposal. This requires a 2/3 majority to pass. All in favor? Lights began appearing throughout the chamber. Each delegate's vote was recorded and displayed. The counting seemed to take forever. Ambassador Vasquez sat motionless, watching the vote count rise. Her expression remained neutral, but her hands gripped the armrests of her chair. The final count appeared on the hologram. 87% in favor. The chamber erupted in noise. Some delegates cheered. Others protested. Most simply sat in stunned silence. Chairman Vexilor raised his hand. The noise gradually subsided. The motion passes. Humanity is hereby granted full council membership, with all rights, responsibilities, and protections that entails. He turned to Ambassador Vasquez. Ambassador, please come forward. Vasquez stood and walked to the center of the chamber. Her steps were steady, controlled. When she reached the podium, she faced the council. On behalf of humanity, I accept this honor, Vasquez said simply. We will strive to be worthy of your trust. See that you do, Vexilor said. The galaxy is watching, Ambassador. Show us that our faith in humanity is justified. The ceremony that followed was brief but significant. The human flag was raised alongside the council banners. Ambassador Vasquez took the oath of membership. The council officially recognized humanity as a full member species. When it was over, Velkthar approached Vasquez. His skin pattern showed something like embarrassment. I truly believed I was protecting the galaxy from your species, Velkthar said quietly. Vasquez smiled slightly. You were protecting the galaxy, Ambassador. Just not in the way you thought. The galaxy needs someone to be wary of us, to question us, to keep us from going too far. You'll have a seat at the table to do exactly that now. Velkthar's pattern shifted to show understanding. You believe humanity needs oversight? Every powerful species needs oversight, Vasquez replied. Including us. Especially us. We know our own nature. We know how dangerous we can be when we lose control. Having voices like yours to remind us to think before we act will help keep us balanced. She extended her hand. After a moment, Velkthar reached out with one of his own hands and shook it. Perhaps we can learn from each other, Velkthar said. That's the idea, Vasquez agreed.